I want you to flip your KWL chart, and on the back of that page, you're going to get a smaller sheet of black paper. Now you're going to use a small piece of tape, and at the very top, I want you to tape that into your sketchbook. At your table, there's going to be a white piece of paper. What you're going to do is turn the paper portrait tall like a building, and you're going to hold one side of the paper with your hand. The other hand is going to pull and tear the paper. We're going to tear the paper towards us, towards yourself. Now holding it down, I'm going to start from the very top, and I'm going to rip a curvy or wavy line. And it's up to you on how you want to tear yours. And you should be left with two pieces of paper now. One might be a little bit larger and one is a little bit smaller. Now it does not matter which torn piece of paper that you use, but I'm gonna start with this one. You can alternate, which means you can change which ones you use. I'm gonna first start with the larger piece. Now we are going to be doing a blending technique with chalk today. Now this is just practice in your sketchbook. It's a time for you to figure out what works and what doesn't work. In your box of chalk pastels, you want to try and stick with really bright colors that we normally see in the Aurora Borealis, also known as the Northern Lights. Colors like yellow, blue, and green are colors that we normally see. Now be careful with your chalk today. You want to try and use one color at a time. When you're finished with one color, you put it back and grab the next color. The chalk will also be kind of messy on your hands today, so if we are clean and quiet at the end of class, we will get a towel to wash our hands. Starting with the color that you want to use first, you're going to hold down your torn piece of paper over your black piece of paper, and you're going to use the side or the belly of our chalk pastel, and you're going to rub starting from the white paper, and you're going to push and drag it to the black paper, repeating that all across. And you can try to make them some of our chalk higher and some of our chalk lower. When you're finished with one color, put it back, try another color and overlap the colors. So now I'm going to overlap the yellow on top of my green, just like that. I'm going to use one more color, and I'm going to use this beautiful bright light blue. Now next, you don't want to lift up your torn piece of paper yet. If it accidentally lifts up, you want to go ahead and try and match it back to where it was before, as close as you can get it, and then we're going to start blending our chalk. This is the step that really makes it look like those beautiful northern lights. Now you can take a finger, and same with our chalk pastel, you're going to start from our white piece of paper, and you're going to use your finger to blend up. You don't want to blend down towards you. You want to blend up. And the colors will start to blend together. This is called our blending technique. If you don't want to use your fingers, you can use a small piece of tissue paper. And the same as our finger, we're going to start from the paper and blend up. That way our hand doesn't get as messy, and it actually blends it pretty well. Now if you blend too much, it's going to be over blended and look a little bit muddy. When we say the word muddy, it actually kind of looks like mud. The color isn't as clear. So please be mindful when you are doing our blending technique for today. This is practice, so if it ends up looking muddy, it's okay, because that's when we learn what works and what doesn't. After you are finished blending your chalk colors, you may lift it up. Now, a little tip is try to not to use too many colors, because if you use too many, it kind of doesn't look as natural as the Northern Lights. Now, you can use the same piece of paper, or you may use the second torn piece of paper that we have, and you can practice doing it again above the first Northern Lights that we just did. At the end of class today, please make sure your torn pieces of paper are going to go in the blue recycling bin. We will not be using these next time, so we're going to recycle them. When you are finished, please close your sketchbook carefully and place it into your sketchbook folder. If you are finished early today, right below your chalk practice technique, I want you to find a space to write a few notes today on what worked for you and what didn't work. This will be helpful tips and reminders for yourself, so that next time when you come into art, you will know and remember what didn't work and what did work for your final artwork. Now, I wrote 2. The first one that I wrote was use tissue paper instead of finger to blend, because I found that the tissue paper worked a lot better for me. Maybe it's the opposite for you. The second note that I wrote was layer few colors at a time and don't overblend. I found that if I overblend, it looks way too muddy and the colors don't stand out anymore. So find what worked for you and what didn't, and make a few notes. If you don't have enough space, you of course can go on to the next page. Make sure we're using complete sentences to write our notes down today.